Okay. Okay, I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, June 10th, 2026 meeting of the Tompkins County Industrial Development Agency. I am filling in for Deborah. She's hopefully enjoying herself in Europe for a much needed vacation there. So, and I will note that we will not have a meeting of the Tompkins County Development Corporation. So I think privilege of the floor.
We do have one comment that was submitted via email today. This is from Amanda Kirchgessner. She says, good afternoon. As I reviewed the 2025 jobs report, one question kept coming to mind. What level of underperformance actually triggers recapture? And can you show me a project besides MACOM where that standard has been enforced? The report identifies 13 projects that failed to meet their job creation or retention goals. Several missed by substantial margins. Green Star reports 157 jobs against a baseline of 240. Tompkins Trust reports approximately 251 jobs against a baseline of 300. In Kodama, Cary Building, Ithaca Beer, and others all fell short of projections. Yet in case after case, the recommendation is no action. I understand that COVID happened. Markets change, businesses struggle. The issue is not whether there are explanations, the issue is accountability. If a project receives public subsidies based on promised economic outcomes, at what point do these promises matter? The report shows that projects benefited from nearly $11.8 million in tax exemptions in 2025 alone. Taxpayers are told these incentives are justified because they create jobs, retain jobs, and strengthen the local economy. But if significant underperformance consistently results in no recapture, no modification, and no consequence, then what purpose does the recapture policy actually serve? MACOM appears to be the exception. My question is whether MACOM represents the rule or whether it represents the only time the rule is applied. I would appreciate a clear explanation of what objective standard triggers recapture, how often it has been used, and whether the board believes the current policy is functioning as intended. Thank you.
Okay, any other privilege of the floor? Okay, additions to the agenda?
We have no additions to the agenda.
I will note that we will go into executive session and we are not anticipating any actions coming out of that. So, business, 2025 jobs report.
Yes, so Russ, do we need to put this on the floor to discuss? No, we just need general approval? Okay. All right, so we will discuss the memo and recommendations that were sent out in your agenda packet. We have the memo and the project schedule. There were 59 active projects in 2025, and those were all approved between 2003 and 2025. They paid over $4.6 million in new property taxes and benefited from property tax exemptions of just over $8 million. There were 9 projects that benefited from sales tax exemptions and one that secured mortgage financing and received an exemption from the state share of that mortgage recording tax. These projects reported 1,854 jobs for 2025, and payroll was over $142 million with an average wage of $38.40 per hour. We had 16 solar projects in total that represented 69.6 megawatts of renewable energy, 2,724 new housing units, and 27.3% of those were affordable. I'm not going to go project by project for the jobs. I will highlight a couple of projects that did not meet their job projections. And we do want to keep in mind that these were projections. Projects vary, over the years based on the economy and different factors that play into account. The first is the Cary Building. So this was a project that was done to house REV, the incubator partnership between Cornell, Ithaca College, and TC3. And it did have a couple of, it does currently as well, have a couple of retail occupants. When that project was done, it really shouldn't have promised jobs because it wasn't that type of project. And that has been noted since its inception, from what I've been told. So that one will be exempt through 2028, so that's near the end of its incentive cycle. In Kodama, this one, they are short 12 jobs, and they were acquired in 2020, and recently they have been hiring across the board, so I would expect that number to increase for next year's report. The next is Green Star. They have been hit significantly, first by COVID and the timing of their expansion. Grocery prices are at historic highs, transportation costs, and they've experienced sustained inflation. So that has been a hit for them. And Tompkins Trust, this was really, I don't want to say a shot in the dark with their numbers, but a lot of things happened when this project first became incentivized. I will say that pre-construction, that parcel was assessed at $750,000. Currently, it's at $16.8 million. So even with the pilot, they are paying a significant amount more in taxes than would that project not have been completed. And let's see, I believe those are, and obviously 20 Thornwood Maycom, that the pilot was terminated 2 meetings ago. So I will open it up to any questions, feedback.
Yes, Shauna.
I actually agree with Amanda's sentiment and her comments. I think that whenever these organizations are applying for abatements, they're presenting to us what they're going to bring forward in order to earn that abatement. And I think whenever we look at that as far as a community good, we would expect to take that at face value. And whenever I see these numbers, it's very, very disappointing. And it also makes me think that since there has been a trend of non-compliance and non-meeting these expectations, if I were a business applying for an abatement, sure, I would do my hardest to get the numbers right, but realizing there's no enforcement mechanism if I get it wrong, I'm not sure I wouldn't go for the sky. And so with that said, I would love to have a conversation about some enforcement, or I don't want to say make it punitive and say consequences, but if people aren't going to meet their the application information without a very solid excuse or reason, then there should be some type of clawback, in my opinion.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Prentice?
Hello, everybody. I just want to second what she said. I mean, we have to do more for our community when it comes to giving these people these pilots, these tax incentives. We definitely need to make it make sense at some point.
I guess the other side of that is, if we're going to become, adopt a punitive stance on this kind of thing, then people aren't going to bring these things forward. We won't be seeing projects. People won't take the risk. So there's a downside to it that I can see as well.
Greg?
Yeah, I think the truth has got to be probably somewhere in the middle on this one, right? I mean, I think that, like if you look at the trust company, was 300 just maybe like a number that they put down because somebody did in the back of the math, how much thought, I think it's really important that we encourage applicants to really tease out what the true number was. That trust company number's likely going to go down with the sale of the insurance division to Gallagher Bassett from that building. So they won't be in that building anymore, but they'll have some presence downtown still. So, I think that this is a tough one. And I think, like, what would the community say, right, if we were punitive of Green Star for not being able to produce 83 jobs, right? And then, so how do we apply it equitably across the whole operation. It's, I hope we can find a balanced approach, where there's a real egregiousness and a pure lack of effort, and really encourage applicants to get as specific, because one of the things I think we'll see if we become strictly punitive is the numbers will get lowballed. And then will we really have a fair assessment of what the real economic impact is going to be? So I think this is one that we really need to mull over, for sure. But when you look at it, 251 jobs, 157 jobs, 46 jobs, I mean, like, there's still good job numbers. Maybe their original estimates were just too generous. So that's
well, optimistic based on different times.
Well, that's true too.
Nobody saw, some of the stuff that's happened. I mean, there's crystal ball stuff involved there too.
Yeah, yeah. The whole pandemic thing didn't help.
Yeah, I think I will add I think I echo Greg's caution here to tread lightly on some of these. I think some of these are very explainable. I mean, so I would be concerned, for example, in Encodema. Obviously, their business has fluctuated significantly over the last 2 to 3 years. And, per Kelly's comments there, in terms of theirs, now all of a sudden they're hiring and they may exceed that. So if we're looking at this as a 1 year, yes, it may be below that. And then would we penalize them for that when the next year, all of a sudden, they've exceeded that significantly? With the trust company, yeah, I think that's a tough one to, in terms of what do they put down there? I will say that I knew that, they were seriously looking to relocate out of the city. And so part of the reason why they located there was some of this incentive package that was offered to them. So, yes, they didn't meet the numbers, but if we don't have 251 jobs downtown, that would have significantly impacted the city of Ithaca as well. So I just feel like we've got to look at it on an individual basis, and I would agree if there's something egregious that someone's doing, yes, I feel like we can certainly look at that. But if someone doesn't meet the expectations, boy, I'd be hard pressed to pull them back, especially if we're just looking at a 1 year period of time, where next year, the year after, it may change for them.
I guess this begs the question, how are we going to decide what organizations we enforce and which ones we don't? Because we know that 2 weeks ago, or our last meeting, we did enforce and we did do a clawback. Why did we choose his project over any of the 10 that are listed here?
Well, I think one was a local labor policy in the construction, and this is I kind of view these as two different policy enforcement mechanisms. But I 100% agree with what you're saying, is we need to be consistent and we need to be clear from the outset here's the line, right? You cross the line, this is the consequence. If you go close to the line, you get a warning, right? Like, we need to be very clear with everybody involved, purely to protect this organization from not having those questions raised of picking and choosing. So,
I have to say, I mean, I wasn't around when any of these things were decided on, right? So the point is, there's always different faces around the room making decisions based on what their perceptions and understanding are. And, we can spend a lot of time second guessing those too. So I totally understand what you're saying. Believe me, I am so aware of the public face that the IDA has, and how we are constantly being accused of dropping the ball and giving money away. And we could do a few things to help our image, but it shouldn't be done at the expense of the community. I don't disagree with that, Prentice. I get it. But I also, having been, in business and just understanding the ups and downs of being in business, I think it's about balance. I think what Greg was saying is absolutely true. And it's a small community. It's just, we all kind of know each other's business because it's so public. I just don't ever want to be insensitive to that either.
So in terms of next steps, so obviously Kelly's made a recommendation for no action on these. Does anyone disagree with that, or we want to have further discussion? So I agree with you, Shauna. I mean, certainly this should be a discussion piece going forward for us and thinking through what that line is. But are you looking to have any disagreement in terms of the current recommendations?
No, I don't. I think that if we're going to do something, it should be, to some extent written in policy, and there are going to be gray situations. I don't think that everything is black and white, but I also think that we need to be consistent. And, if one developer is going to walk in here and not fulfill the requirements that we've set forth, and the second developer that walks in and does the same thing should have the same penalty. And I think it was fair the way that we did it. Based on the numbers that they had. But I wish we had something so that, and I don't want to be punitive. I want people to come here and apply for these abatements. But again, there has to be a community good in order for me to buy into the idea of doing this.
Okay. So maybe we should consider putting it on an agenda item for a discussion piece in the future then. I would like at least to have a motion to accept the jobs report as it's presented, so we can vote on that.
I'll move that.
Second that.
Okay, so it's on the floor. Everyone in favor of the jobs report as presented and the recommendations made by Kelly? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Okay, next item is we've got a local labor policy amendment that the committee has met and provided some suggestions. I think I would like to put it on the floor first, right?
Yes. Yes.
So if I can get a motion to put this on the floor for discussion. Shauna and Prentice seconds. Okay, so it's on the floor. So can I ask one of the committee members to explain, or Kelly, do you want to take this? I think you chaired it, Prentice, so if someone can explain kind of the thoughts and concepts, that'd be great.
Sure, I'll start and you can fill in the blanks if I miss anything. So yes, the local labor committee met. We had a really great discussion about the existing policy, any changes that were to be recommended to this board, and went over some data on a couple of projects that are going on. So it was really great conversation, and the outcome from that meeting, one of the main things, is just a couple of minor amendments to the existing policy. One thing to note is that it's recommended that this policy be approved effective July 1st, because that is when Marcus Willoughby will take over as president of the Tompkins-Cortland Building Trades Council. With Todd Brewer's retirement, that presented an opening, and Marcus was voted in as president of the Building Trades Council. So his information has been updated on the policy. And the other item pertains to waivers. So with the existing policy, it gives the administrative director the ability to approve waivers for 3 different reasons. Those being, where are we? Sorry, we had. Contractor specific, so if you have like an elevator, that's 9 times out of 10, that's going to be granted a waiver because it's a specific type. Cost differential of 10% or greater, and specialized skills and warranty issues. So those were some of the reasons that the administrative director could approve waivers without bringing it to the board. And then for extenuating circumstances, those requests would be brought to the board for approval. What we discussed was kind of flipping that. So making it so any of those initial reasons, so the warranty issues, documented lack of qualified local bids or available workers, need for specialized skills, and the cost differential, those will come before the board. And then the extenuating circumstances could be decisioned by the administrative director. I believe the main reason why that was decided is given current situations that we have encountered with different projects, we felt that it would be good to make sure that the board is aware of what's going on with the projects in the community. So we've got that transparency there so everyone knows what's going on. Okay, this project is having a hard time finding glaziers or, woodworkers, different things for different reasons, and just so everyone is aware of the situation. And I believe that was it. Yes, and I'll open it, I'll hand it to Mark, or to Prentice if I've missed anything.
No, I don't think you missed anything. I think we hit on just about everything besides the 45-day part of it before the actual work is performed.
Yes. So that actually is in the current policy, that waiver request must be submitted 45 days before the work is started. So we don't get into a situation where all of a sudden a project has not met their labor threshold and they're just submitting waivers to get to that 75% mark. Does anyone have any questions, comments?
Okay. Sure. It's hard to see your name come off the bottom.
Yes.
Is this mic working?
Yeah.
So this body last year updated the policy to reflect the governing or the review documents from Loki Brill, our third-party consultant. And as part of that process, Loki Brill, who works with IDAs across the state, require that waiver requests be submitted 45 days before work begins for one principal reason, is that usually there will be a meeting of the IDA somewhere in there, right, every month or so. And that effectively allows us to slow down a little bit and allow the IDA to consider these things. There have been situations in the past inadvertently that put a lot of pressure on the administrative director to make those decisions that might not be popular. And so since the policy was revised to slow it down, we figured the best thing to do is actually bring those waivers to you directly. And should something, extenuating circumstances, need to move faster than a meeting would allow, then the administrative director can step in and make that executive decision. But largely just based on the nature of what has happened and transparency, as Kelly mentioned, it makes more sense for you to hold you all as elected or nominated to make that decision.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, if not, I think we need a motion to accept this as written. Shauna, ducks and seconds? Okay, so everyone in favor of the local labor utilization policy as amended? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you. Chair's report. Okay, well, first, with certainly great sadness, we've got to Kelly's last meeting, so we need to recognize Kelly. You stepped into a difficult situation last year, and that is certainly not lost on any of us that were around last year. And new members, I think, will echo this: that you've done a fantastic job, basically in the last 12 months, and we certainly appreciate all your time and effort, and we will miss you.
Thank you. Likewise.
If I may, Jeff, just quickly, our firm and our group works with IDAs and development corporations across the state with all sorts of political atmospheres, and Kelly has just done a fantastic job. We speak daily, and she came in and within a year made this place a much better place to work and to work for. So I've been texting her regularly, you can't leave, you can't leave. So we hate to see you go, but you're a good client and a good friend, and we wish you nothing but the best. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, much success in the future.
Thank you so much.
Decide to relocate back to here, give us a
Okay.
call.
Keep my chair warm for me. You all have been fantastic. It's truly been an honor and a privilege to work with you. I've grown so much as an individual, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I thank you all very much.
Great. So that being said, obviously, Ithaca Area Economic Development is fast working on a replacement for Kelly, but as of right now, the interim plan is that Kurt Anderson is going to be the interim administrative director while we continue the search. So I would like to have a motion to approve Kurt as the interim administrative director. Okay, we got one, we got a second, Jerry. Okay, all in favor? All opposed? All right, you're approved. Shocker that you got approved, all right? So
So it looks like Petite Kurt is now
Petite
interim
Kurt, yeah.
Kurt.
We'll make this hiring cycle go as fast as possible. So if you all are on vacation for the July meeting, that'd be great.
Well, in all seriousness, we appreciate you stepping in and filling this. You got some big shoes to fill, so we appreciate that.
We're tall ones.
The good news is that we, IED, realizing that Kelly has done a tremendous job and has really improved the esprit de corps among IDA members and clients and those who we commission. We've contracted her through the end of the year to be a consultant for me in a very brief period, and then our new employee at least, just to give advice and counsel and, hey, am I looking at this correctly, so we're not putting it too heavy on you. So we appreciate Kelly even extending beyond that, just in service to this community and this body.
Yeah, great. Great. Okay, nothing else to report on the chairs. Staff report.
So we do have an update that we received the payment from 121, 125 Lake Street for the labor delta in that lack of local labor. So we did receive that, and that has been deposited. The only other thing I have right now is that it was just released yesterday that the IDA Academy, which is sponsored or held by New York State Economic Development Council, will be July 16th and 17th in Clifton Park. There will be networking at the Saratoga Racetrack, so I think that'll be a really fun event. Last year, we hosted here in Ithaca, and it was great. We had a great turnout. We had, I believe, more than 75 people attended. I sat on a panel. It was some really great networking and just to be able to showcase our area to economic development professionals across the state. So if you need any information on that, our team will send that out, and let us know if you need help registering or if you would like to attend.
Yes, Greg.
Yeah, I often at the legislature, when we talk about fines and fees and sort of punitive actions, I like to see those funds received for those go towards something that could help maybe reduce that situation in the past, right? Eviction proceeds or when we sell properties, not eviction, foreclosure, I apologize. When we take, foreclosure and there's a little bit of money left over, obviously there's some expense, but could that money go into the Community Housing Development Fund? In this case, where we have local labor fines or penalties, is there something that we could look to do to support Tompkins Build or other types of apprenticeship programs so that we're contributing from the penalty to the development of more local labor so that it's not just to fill the coffers, but it's something that we can do and show the community that, sometimes we fall short in our expectations or developers fall short, but we're taking that negative and trying to produce something good from it. I don't know what the mechanism would look like for that or if there'd be appetite to have that discussion, but it's a sizable amount of money. And I know we have operating costs, but I also know that we have need to continue to support some of the folks that are just trying to better themselves within our community to get the job training required so that we do have a pool of local labor to be able to pull from.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. And I believe in conversations I've had with Russ and Stephen that money would be used towards advancing economic development. So that could definitely be earmarked for that.
Great idea. So can we maybe put some thought into that? And you guys are in touch with what we're doing on the, the labor issues and stuff like that. So
yeah, I was going to commend Greg for reading the committee minutes because that did come up as a point of topic, and want to be fully transparent that we, IAED, do have a workforce training program, but it is not the only one either. And so we breached that topic of trying to create a mechanism whereby it can be fair and can be decided on how that's distributed. But it is a great idea, and actually, Prentice, do you think the Labor Committee would meet again to kind of discuss something and frame something out for this group?
Definitely. We plan on meeting within 3-4 months again anyway, so I think that'd be an awesome idea.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Okay, so we'll put that in the Labor Committee then to look at that. Okay, and Kelly, I'm not looking to pile on, but I did read a headline that the Broome IDA got dinged a little bit. Can you just, and I'm not looking for you to spill dirt or anything, but can you what was the kind of big picture? What were the issues there to make sure we don't do anything like that? But.
A lot of it, from what I skimmed through, was on spending, T&E. Maybe you two can add to this.
We can certainly summarize it for the board. I don't work with them personally. I think there were some expenditures on alcohol and related items that are not permissible. I have not personally looked at it real closely. I just haven't had a time, but I can certainly look at it and brief the board next month if you would like.
I know they were exceeding travel limits, like daily limits for expenses.
And I can put together kind of a bullet point memo, and you don't have anything to worry about with respect to your behaviors versus some of the alleged behaviors in Broome County. So I'm happy to do that.
It's different too because their IDA has staff, and we are contracted from IAED. So there's that degree of separation.
So was it a staffing issue or was it a board issue? Do you know?
Both.
Okay. So I guess we've been,
lack of board oversight, right. I think was a
I think we've been missing out on our happy hours is what you're saying.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And, honestly, I think it would be great for us to just understand that. And, so.
I'll keep it short and simple and highlight the areas of concern that was expressed in the audit.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we've got in your package, we've got the Labor Construction Committee minutes from June 1st. This is just informational, so we do not need to vote or approve them. And then also we've got our board minutes from the May 13th board meeting. So can I get a motion to put it on the table? Okay, Greg. Second, Prentice. Okay. All in favor of approval for the minutes for the May 13th? All opposed? Okay. Great. Okay, we are now at the end of our meeting. We are going to go into executive session, so I'd like to request a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending or threatened litigation.
We will move.
Okay, move. Second. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, we are going into executive session.